Hi all, welcome to Kawomi Dev Studio. Is your boy hiding from his tutor? Mine does. He runs into the bathroom and stays there until the tutor leaves. We bribe him with extra screen time and he still does it. Last week he came out of that bathroom angry, not sad, angry, and it was not really anger. It was something underneath the anger that I knew because I carried that exact same thing inside my own chest for 30 years and never told anyone. You probably know what I'm about to say. Your son knows it too, and you knew it yourself when you were 11, sitting in a classroom with a worksheet you could not understand. I'm 60 years old and I just figured out what was wrong. It was not him. It was not me. It was never us. Today my grandson asked me, "Can I just play first?" And I almost said no. Finish your work first, the way every adult in this country has been saying it for 40 years. Then I stopped because looking at his face, I was not seeing my grandson anymore. I was seeing myself. If you have a son like mine, please subscribe. Because what I tried next is the one thing nobody told me for 30 years, and it changed everything for both of us. Have you ever looked at a science worksheet and felt absolutely nothing? Pressure equals force divided by area. A picture of a brick on a thumb. That is what my grandson sees in his primary 6 workbook. He does not avoid it because he is lazy. He avoids it because there is nothing in his head for the formula to land on. He has never put a brick on his own thumb. The textbook gave him a formula and forgot to give him the thing. This is not just my grandson. Richard Reeves at the Brookings Institution wrote a book called Of Boys and Men. He pulled the global numbers and laid them out plainly. Boys make up around 70% of the failing grades in modern schools. For every 100 girls who repeat a year, 145 boys repeat. By university age, 6 women enroll for every 4 men. UNESCO ran the same study across 67 countries. Same pattern. This is not because boys got lazier. The way most schools teach has not matched the way most boys learn for a long time, and we just kept doing it anyway. You might see your own son in this story. Maybe yourself too. That is what brought you here today. Maybe. Did you know MOE quietly updated the PSLE syllabus this year and did not tell most parents what it actually means? The 2026 PSLE Math and Science syllabus puts new emphasis on something the document calls scientific inquiry, structured reasoning, and conceptual understanding. That is the polite way of saying the old method of memorize and regurgitate lost too many kids along the way. I read this at my kitchen table at midnight. I read it twice because I have been a parent in this country for 40 years and a grandfather for 10, and nobody ever sent me a letter about this. Then I found something else. The same ministry already runs Assumption Pathway School and NorthLight School. Their entire approach is what MOE calls experiential. Hands-on, applied, kids working with tools, fixing things, building things while learning the same science that is in every other textbook. Most Singapore parents have never heard of these schools. Those who have often mistake them for places where weak students go. That belief is wrong. These schools are built for the kids who learn the way most boys actually learn. The notice went out. The policy changed. The tuition centers kept selling the old method, and our boys kept hiding from tutors. Do you ever feel like you just keep memorizing, but never understand what the teacher is saying? That was me at 11. The teacher writes H+O makes water. I copy it down. I have no idea what hydrogen is. I have never seen oxygen. I'm not even sure what an atom is, only that the textbook said it was small. I memorized the equation the way you memorize a phone number, just the shape of it, no meaning underneath. I get a B for science. My parents are pleased. Nobody asks if I understood any of it. I do this for 10 years. Each term, I memorize the formulas, pass the test, and forget everything by the next holiday. The hollow loop just keeps going. Then life moves on. I leave school, find a job, get married, have a daughter, and the daughter has a son. For 30 years, I carry a quiet belief that science is the thing smart kids understand, and I am not one of them. The shame sits like a stone in my shoe, not big enough to take out, but just big enough to feel every step. You might be nodding along right now. This is the part where I want you to know something simple. You were not the problem. The order was wrong, and it took me 30 years to understand that one small sentence. Have you ever fixed a leaking tap? I had not. I was 47 years old. The tap in my kitchen had been dripping for 2 weeks. My wife said, "Just call a plumber." I said, "No, let me try first." I went to the hardware shop downstairs and bought a wrench and a small bag of rubber washers. The shop uncle showed me which one fits. I went home, knelt on the kitchen floor, turned off the water main, and unscrewed the tap. Inside there was the old washer, worn down on one side. I took it out. I put a new one in. I screwed everything back together. I turned the water on. The tap did not leak. And in that moment, something opened up inside me because I understood what pressure is, not the equation. The water in the pipe is being pushed from somewhere upstream. It pushes against the washer. If the washer is worn down, it finds a way through. I understood force because I had just used force on a wrench. I understood materials because rubber compresses but metal does not, and that is why the washer is rubber. 40 years of school never taught me this. A leaking tap taught me in 20 minutes. I sat on the kitchen floor with the wrench in my hand and I did not tell anyone. Because what would I say? I just sat there and felt something I had not felt since I was a small boy, and I felt for the first time like I was allowed to know things. Then it hit me slowly. All those formulas they made me memorize in school had been waiting for a tap, waiting for a thing. The textbook gave me the formula but never gave me the thing, so the formula just slid off year after year, until I was 30 years old and convinced I was not smart. So here is what I tried with my grandson. I let the same tap leak. I did not fix it. When he came home from school, I was sitting at the kitchen table with the wrench, the bag of washers, and his textbook open to the page about pressure and force. He looked at me and asked, "Grandpa, what are you doing?" I said, "The tap is leaking. I want to fix it, but I do not know how. Can you help?" He looked at me for a second. He is a primary 6 kid. He knows when an adult is up to something. He dropped his bag anyway. I handed him the wrench. He felt the weight of it in his hand for a moment. Then he said, "Got water inside the pipe, right? We need to turn off first." He walked to the sink. He found the valve. He turned it off. Just like that, without anyone teaching him. We knelt together on the kitchen floor. He unscrewed the tap. He took out the worn washer and turned it over in his fingers. He said, "Grandpa, this one is squashed." I said, "Yes." He said, "Because the water pushes it." I said, "Yes." He said, "That is pressure." I did not answer. I did not trust my voice to come out steady. I just handed him a new washer. He put it in. He screwed the tap back together. He turned the water on. The tap did not leak. Then he said the thing I will think about for the rest of my life. He said, "So pressure is just water pushing on something. That is all." That is all. I walked to the counter where the workbook was open at question 4, the brick on the thumb. I left the pencil next to the open workbook and quietly walked away to make tea. 20 minutes later, the workbook had writing on it, all of it, including question 4. He never got the formula. He got the tap. The formula came after, and it came easy because there was finally something for it to hold on to. That night, after he was asleep, I opened my laptop. I have already been quietly building a small YouTube channel for him over the last few months. It links PSLE topics to ordinary life things, like coffee shop, math, playground physics, and food court biology. I had not really understood why I was doing it, until tonight. I'm making the channel I wish someone had made for me in 1985. If your boy is hiding from his tutor right now, maybe the answer is not another tutor. Maybe the answer is a leaking tap, a broken fan, a pot of water boiling on the stove with a cover on it. Yesterday, my grandson made instant noodles. He read the back of the packet. Then he opened his science workbook to a chapter about heat transfer. He looked up at me and said, "Grandpa, the noodles cook faster with cover because the steam cannot escape, right? So the heat stays inside." I nodded quietly. He said, "And that is why the pressure cooker is faster than the open pot." I nodded quietly. He nodded to himself, satisfied. He put the cover on the pot. The kitchen filled with the small sound of water just starting to boil. He never got the formula. He got the noodles. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more trending videos like this one.